The Obama administration has a long history of rewarding its friends and punishing its political enemies. Joining me now to explain the administration's, well, what he calls extortion tactics and maneuvers, Peter Schweizer, president of the Government Accountability Institute and author of the explosive new bestseller, Extortion, How Politicians Extract Your Money, Buy Votes, and Line, of course, their own pockets. I added the of course. Peter, great to have you back with us.
Thank you, Lou. It's great to be on with you.
You know, last night here we talked about Congress and the ways in which it is lining its pockets, doing business. And in fact, institutional corruption is what much of it appears to be. The executive branch is certainly in every bit the same league. And its favorite device, you write, is the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. What are some of the companies that it has attacked with this?
Well, here's what's interesting about the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. It was created in 1977. It was actually written by attorneys at Covington and Burling, which is the law firm that Eric Holder and a lot of top DOJ people came from. And for 30 years, Lou, it was pretty much a dormant law. You had on average 3 cases a year. When President Obama came into office, it exploded. And what's concerning about how this law has been used is it's been targeted against companies or entities that the administration deemed to be anti-Obama or not supportive of his policies. So over the last several years, you saw everyone from Koch Industries to News Corp, your parent company, to HP, who is headed by a Republican, to Las Vegas Sands, which, of course, is largely owned by a gentleman who's funneled tens of millions of dollars into Republican causes.
Sheldon Adelson, the billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. And you've also seen industries that were very, very supportive in 2010 of the Republican takeover of Congress, namely the independent oil and gas industry and the hedge fund industry, were targeted with so-called sweep letters, where they basically said, we're going after your industry. And so it's a major intimidation tool.
An intimidation tool, and an intimidation tool to be used, as intimidation often is in any part of life, to raise money,
yes.
Whether it be contributions, whether it is to line the pockets of a specific friend of this administration, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And actually, there is academic evidence, statistical studies that have been done that shows that if you are a company or an individual who gives campaign donations, if your corporate PAC gives campaign donations to the right people, you basically are going to cut in half the chances that you are going to have the book thrown at you and face criminal charges and civil charges. So there's evidence that this works. And the timing is also very, very disconcerting. For example, days after the 2010 election, and only a couple of weeks after President Obama had said in a radio interview, we're going to punish our political enemies, that's when they send out the industry sweep letters to the independent oil and gas industry. And they said, we are now coming after you. And the oil and gas industry in 2010 had basically gone 4-1 for Republicans as opposed to Democrats. So the timing is very, very suspect as well.
Let me share with our viewers that quote from the president telling an audience, quote, we're going to punish our enemies and we're going to reward our friends who stand with us on issues that are important to us. A blatant declaration of purpose and intent, which, as you document, they seem to have fulfilled. By the way, I do want to point out, 120 of those investigations under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act in 2009, about the same number in 2010. Then it drops to about half of that in 2011 and 2012. Does that mean that the extortion rate is declining, that suddenly there's some constraint on the administration?
No, there's not any constraint, unfortunately. The problem is that a lot of companies are realizing, you know what, we're not even going to fight this. We're basically going to cave and give them what they want. Because even if we end up winning in some sort of trial, it's going to be so costly to us in terms of legal fees. It's also going to affect our stock price. And it needs to be pointed out, Lou, that part of the problem, part of what's happened is that this Department of Justice is more politicized than really any, I would say, since the Nixon administration. And you don't have to look any further than the fact that when Obama was elected in 2008, the Department of Justice was populated at the top with no less than 5 major campaign bundlers, including the Attorney General himself, Eric Holder. These are people that were raising huge sums of money for President Obama's election. That's unprecedented. That has not happened before.
Peter, thanks so much for being with us. It's fascinating. And if you want to know how your government works, Peter Schweizer will tell you in here. His book is Extortion. It's available online at bookstores now. We recommend it to you highly. We need a lot of people who understand how this government works. Peter, thanks for being here, and thanks for your contribution to our knowledge. We're coming right back.